Welcome back to Rank and File Sports, where we are grading every single NFL draft class based on three categories. First of all, we're going to grade based off of whether or not the team drafted the players that fit their needs for next season, as well as the overall talent that they got, just assessing the draft class as a whole. And then finally, the value. Is each player worth where they were drafted at? Were they a steal at that position, or did the team maybe reach a little bit and not get as good a value as they could have if they had traded the pick? And then after that, we're going to go ahead and give them an overall grade. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the video.
The New York Giants had a amazing draft class addressing so many of their needs, that being a quarterback, wide receiver, defensive tackle, offensive guard, and a linebacker. But they started off the draft taking arguably the most talented prospect in the entire draft in Abdul Carter, and I can't say I blame them.
Yeah, that was an incredible pick. I do think that Abdul Carter was probably the best player in this draft class. Yeah, getting him at three, it's hard to say it's a steal because only two teams passed on him and they got players that they needed much more. But this is a great player for the Giants to be able to get at three. And then they traded back up into the first round in order to select Jackson Dart. Some people were surprised it wasn't Shedeur Sanders. I actually like this pick. I think that Dart is going to turn out better than Sanders. So I don't hate this at all. If he was still there when the Browns made their pick, I do think that Cleveland would have taken Jackson Dart. So this was a smart move by the Giants, and overall, I'd say pretty good value and talent, obviously, out of these first two picks.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think only time will tell the difference between Jackson Dart and Shedeur Sanders, but that's for another time. But then they didn't have a second round pick because they traded back up in the first. But in the third round, they got someone I can't believe fell into the third round. Darius Alexander, defensive tackle from Toledo, was a projected late first rounder. And he goes at the very beginning of the third round. I was begging the Bears to draft Darius Alexander to address their defensive tackle need. But the Giants are so lucky that they were able to get him in the third round, given the fact that they already got Abdul Carter and Jackson Dart. This is an incredibly valuable pick.
Yeah, 100%. And they just kept adding on to the value picks by getting Cam Skattebo, who this one's not quite as crazy. They got him early fourth. He was projected, mid third. Still a good value pick, and overall, I really like Scatterboo. I think he had just an incredible performance late in the season, really helping Arizona State along in their eventual playoff game and that Big 12 championship run. So he's really a solid player to get here in early in the fourth round.
Especially in a running back room that I wouldn't really say has a lead back right now. So he can compete for that starting job right away. But then, how about this? Another steal. Marcus Mbao, an offensive guard from Purdue, was a projected like middle third round pick, and they get him in the middle of the fifth round. Like once again, this is such incredible value, and I don't know why people are passing up on such solid guys. Like these are amazing prospect. He was the number six overall offensive guard in this draft, and they got him in the middle of the fifth round.
Yeah, that was really surprising to me that he fell that far. As a Texans fan, I was also really hoping we were going to get him to fill our offensive guard need, but instead we drafted nobody. We'll address that in the Texans video. Moving on to the seventh round, tight end, not necessarily a need, but they took Thomas Fedone II out of Nebraska. It's not a terrible pick. I don't know really how he's going to fit into the offense. He'll probably be, third string tight end, maybe make the team, that kind of thing. It's not the best pick in my opinion, but with how well they did in the first five, it's hard to fault them too much for that. And then they got Corey Black to end it off, getting a cornerback. Again, not really a team need, but overall, I think he's a pretty talented guy. I don't think that ESPN necessarily had him rated as high as he should have been. So I do really like this pick from the Giants. Definitely kind of like a lottery pick, just hoping that he's going to pan out. But I think that there's pretty good odds that he will. So overall, looking at the needs, we gave him a B on addressing the needs because they didn't take a wide receiver and they also did not draft a linebacker. But talent-wise, they're going to get an A. You got Abdul Carter, Jackson Dart, Darius Alexander. All of those guys were basically first-round talent. And then getting Scadaboo and Mbao as third-round talent in the fourth and fifth. Definitely some very talented guys. And value-wise, also an A because of those reasons that I just stated. So overall, this is an A minus draft class for the Giants. A very, very good draft class overall.
Yeah, the future is bright for this Giants team. The only pick on this entire draft class that I question even slightly is the Thomas Fidone second pick because they took Ben or Theo Johnson last year at tight end and currently on the depth chart, Fidone isn't even listed. So unless they're planning on moving him to like a wide receiver or something. I don't know what's going on with that pick, but it doesn't matter when the rest of your draft class is absolutely stacked. So the Giants nailed it this year.
Yeah, overall, great draft class from the Giants. So thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video.